Welcome to the XPAND studio. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing really well. It's cool outside. Fall's coming on. Still hoping for some warm weather.
Yeah, it's this is actually one of my favorite times of the year, considering it's cold but brisk and crisp but not too cold. You can kind of wear a light jacket. It's a really beautiful switch in the season. And the beginning of spring is so beautiful here, and the beginning of fall is so beautiful in Boise.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I get complacent in the summer about, oh, it's so nice, it's going to last forever, and then boom, fall's here.
100%.
Yeah.
And you actually, what position do you hold with the Boise Farmers Market?
I'm the interim market manager for the Boise Farmers Market.
How long have you been involved in that?
I've been involved in the farmers market for a long time. Boise Farmers Market's been around for 6 years, and I've been helping in some capacity 4 of those 6 years. So I spent 3 years managing the mobile market, then started doing marketing and development for the market, and then took over as interim manager in January this year.
How has that been a switch for you in terms of looking at it from a different angle?
It's all the same to me. I mean, it's all about educating people about how to eat healthy and making local food available to as many people as possible, and helping the farmers that are growing the amazing food sell more.
That's it's a really beautiful platform for people to come together and share what they grow or work on locally. It's, are you involved? So which part of the farmers market are you involved in? The whole picture? Because there's 2 separate ones here in Boise now,
There
right?
are 2 separate ones. There's the Capital City Public Market, which is the market that's downtown, that's on 8th Street. It's pretty big, has a lot of art and other things besides food, or besides local food. And then there's 1500 Shoreline Drive, which is the Boise Farmers Market, which is the one I manage. And we have an agriculture focus. So we're a traditional farmers market, and we concentrate our vendor percentages. We have to be at least 51% ag. So either ranchers or farmers.
What determines that percentage?
Markets governmentally are a nonprofit. We're a 501c6, so we're run by a board of directors, and the board of directors who represent the vendors, they determine what the guidelines for the market are. And this market, it was determined that they wanted to have it be a true agriculture farmers market. So they wrote the guidelines, and that's what we follow.
It really is interesting to start to understand how a system works. A system or an organization that you've been to maybe multiple times, but you start to reveal more threads of the actual function of it.
Yeah.
I love learning about that kind of stuff. What are some of the most important benefits that you feel come from even holding a space like this for local farmers?
Well, local farmers, a lot of them do their own marketing, deliver to the places that purchase from them. So like the co-op or other grocery stores or restaurants. But this provides an opportunity for them to be face-to-face with their customers, to be able to talk about what they grow, takes out the middleman so they can charge retail prices and actually make a really good, well, not a really good profit, but make a decent profit. I think it's really important as a community gathering place, because it offers all of the things. It offers, in addition to just the healthy food, it offers a healthy environment and for a way for people to explore food. So if you've never tried a rutabaga and you talk to a farmer about it, he tells you about how fabulous it is and gives you a recipe for it, chances are you're going to try it, and it might be your new favorite thing.
That's a really cool opportunity, not only for local guests, but for the actual provider to bond with who they are able to give their food to. Because that's such a labor enduring process that they have to have so much heart and meaning into the work that they do and the food that they make. And I've seen this in just local artists who are painters. to be able to bond with the people that purchase their paintings, it's a really beautiful process to see.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that food is like art, something that's creates an opportunity to bond with your community.
Is there some form of benefit to eating locally for your nutrition?
Definitely. So I'm also a certified health coach
Oh, okay.
through the
That's
Institute
excellent.
for Integrative Nutrition.
You're
So
in the
I've
perfect
done
place
that.
then.
I am. I know, right?
That's amazing.
I get to be close to the food. It's so cool. Local food is more fresh than what you would buy in the grocery store by at least a week, if not 2 weeks. So something picked in the Central Valley in California, which is about the closest place that you're going to get food in the regular grocery store. Gets picked one day. It's put in a warehouse, gets thrown in a truck, gets trucked here, sits in a warehouse, gets trucked to the local grocery store, then sits there, then gets put out. So that's at least a week, if not 2 weeks, by the time you get it off of the shelf, which is why when you buy lettuce at the grocery store, it doesn't last very long. And so if you're buying food from the farmer, it was either picked on Thursday or Friday, and you buy it on Saturday. So that's like 2 days.
Yeah, that's incredibly fresh.
And so then consequently, it lasts a lot longer in your refrigerator, but also it's got a higher level of nutrition because it was just picked. So the longer, it's my opinion, this may not even be scientific fact, but it's my opinion that the longer food sits, the less energy it has. It dissipates just like life.
That makes a lot of sense.
So if you can get it and it's only 2 days old or 1 day old, it's better for you.
Yeah, the process of life, just like you used as an example, is a really good metric to apply to our food even.
Yeah.
And understanding that when something is plucked from a tree, it's much more ready to eat from it in a sense of it being blossomed. It's fresh, it's ready, you let it sit out for a week, the value should, in theory, decrease.
Right.
What about for bananas? Because I think I've learned this recently where during different phases of a banana, it holds different levels of nutrients. Do you know about that?
I don't know a lot about bananas, but what I do know is they're picked green and sprayed and then stuck in a box and shipped green. And
Wait, they're sprayed green?
oh yeah, they're
What?
picked green. They're picked bright green. When they pick them, they're bright green, and they spray them to kill any insects that are on them. And that has to be done because you can't ship internationally without doing that. And then by the time they hit the grocery stores here, they're starting to turn yellow, and then they ripen on your counter. They're not local.
Yeah. When's the right time to pick a banana?
Banana season varies by country, so it depends on which country.
That's so
you're
interesting. That brings being grateful for your food to a whole different level in terms of where it came from, the process that went to even get to your plate.
Yes.
It's incredible the mechanisms that we have created as a civilization.
It's shocking, actually.
It's so shocking.
Yeah, industrialization has really done some interesting things. And I also think at the time, industrialization seemed like the right thing to do because you could reach more people, it increased commerce, all of those things. And now we're sort of backing off from that and realizing how important it is to have things that are produced and consumed locally.
I've even heard that eating foods that are made from your local soil is really important.
It's we're getting into the woo-woo area, but yes, I think.
That's in a sense, that's where we are here.
I think that eating from your community and from the soil that's part of your community, it's that circle of life, and that's not to say that I don't enjoy a mango, because I do when they're in season. I love mango and I love going places where mangoes grow and eating them there, especially. But I think if most of your diet is gathered from the earth where you live, that's just another way to be a part of where you are.
That makes a lot of sense too. I mean, I really do feel like the energy put into anything matters, especially if it's an item that you consume, because the energy that it was produced in and shipped in theory, should be absorbed by you during the consumption process.
Right.
And how we digest those nutrients, good or bad, harmful or helpful, I think it really does play a role in our character. And that kind of goes into pesticides in a sense. And we're consuming these different levels of chemicals or energy in the deeper molecular sense to that. And we're finding it's changing our genetic structure.
Exactly.
It's really fascinating when you start to actually look at those concepts.
Yeah, and it's we all have glyphosate in our systems, which is a sad day for me.
Do you have your own garden at home?
I do. Yeah, it's a mess this year, but yes, I do.
That's something that I definitely want to become much, much better at. My roommates have a garden in the backyard, and it's very nice. But someone who's just beginning to start their garden, do you have any recommendations for them?
Just do something really basic. Grow something you really like that is fast, so you get the initial reward. So like, I love arugula. So early in the spring, I plant arugula. 30 days later, I get to pick it. 30 to 45 days later, I get to pick it. That is such a huge reward in the spring to grow those greens and be able to consume them. You can still plant arugula now, or lettuces. Now is the time to plant your last round of lettuces. So you can even do it in a pot. Like, you can get a pot of dirt out of your yard, or you can get organic soil from someone that you know, and just put some seeds in it and cover them up and water it, and it grows, and in 40-ish days you'll have a salad. I think that quick reward is the way to start gardening. And radishes are easy too. So like, I don't like the round red radishes, but I love a nice French breakfast radish, the long skinny ones with the white on the bottom. Those are super yummy to me. So that's another fast grow.
Radishes are more bitter, right? In their kind of taste structure.
They got a little hot. They're a little bit spicy. Yeah, I don't think they're spicy and sweet.
How do you know much about, in terms of eating more bitter foods and what that does to our body in terms of in comparison to sugar?
Oh yeah, well,
something more sweet.
Bitter foods are astringent, which is good for your body because it actually helps tighten and cleanse your digestive system. So one of the foods that I've eaten, I used to live in the Bay Area, and I used to eat bitter melon, which is just exactly what it says. It's bitter melon. and it's a little hard to eat, but it's good for you. And I think that things like dandelion greens are bitter, and those are really easy to grow. I mean, in my garden, I'm one of those weird gardeners that lets some of the weeds grow because you can eat them. So I think dandelion greens are good. Mustard greens are good for getting bitter. And we think, that we shouldn't eat bitter things, but bitter vegetables are actually really good for your system, and they give you a different type of nutrition that you get from anything else.
That makes so much sense. I've heard that, so a lot of our illness or disease comes from too much acidic foods or sugary foods. So there's breathing mechanisms to help alkaline the blood pH levels, and I know bitter foods help with those kinds of concepts too. It's interesting when you get into this pull and push of how much you should be eating of what, considering we have so many different resources to be consuming. And that's where nutrition is, what I find in myself and the people that even I work with. It's such a hard thing to dial down because blood type is different, body types are different, but there seems to be this platform, this formula that stays consistent or should remain consistent across every person. And you working with nutrition, what are some of the fundamental aspects that people can really implement into changing their diet or really trying to rewire what they consume.
It's my opinion that we should be eating, if you had like the plate of your day, so a round plate, 3/4 of it should be vegetables, fresh vegetables. So it's fine to steam them, it's fine to saute them, it's fine to eat them raw, but that's literally 10 servings of vegetables a day. And those are 1/2 cup servings. So it's 5 cups of vegetables, which if you think about it, really isn't that much. If you divide that out over 3 meals. We do need some fat in our diets. How much fat a person needs in their diet really does vary by the person. And I always tell people, if you feel good eating what you eat, then you're eating the right thing. If you don't feel good eating what you eat, then you should change how you eat. So we do need carbohydrate. Some people do better with animal protein than other people. Some people won't eat animal protein because they don't feel that it's the right thing to do, which I'm fine with. But if you do need animal protein and you're not eating it, you will feel tired and weak. And you can sub vegetable protein. You can do brown rice and beans mixed together. There are a lot of vegetables that have protein. There are actually some weeds that have protein. But it really is individual. But the one overarching belief that I think works best for people, the way to eat, is to eat 3/4 of your plate of the day as vegetable matter. And I'm talking multiple colors of vegetables. If you can eat 20 or 30 different kinds of vegetables a week, good on you.
That's a lot of vegetables.
It's a lot of vegetables. But you know what? You should make a list. It's an interesting experiment to make a list. Start on Sunday, write down all the vegetables you eat all week. And the list not only shows you that you're actually eating a lot of different vegetables, because things like rosemary, basil, all the herbs that you cook with count as a vegetable. I think that I found that I was eating more different kinds of vegetables than I thought I was. But it also inspired me, like late in the week, to go, okay, I've been eating tomatoes and peppers all week long. How can I mix it up? What else have I got in the fridge that I can eat, or what can I go pull out of the yard?
What a good frame of reference to keep yourself to. So I did the ketogenic for a while, and I'm a very intuitive person with how I eat. I like to, feel what I feel after I consume something and determine if it's right for me or not. And when I was really strict on the ketogenic diet, it was actually kind of fun finding what fit or didn't fit into that structure. So to kind of have a way to label out what vegetables you're eating, or even what fruits you're eating, or really dial down your consumption, it does make it almost a game. It's kind of more playful, and to see things written out in that sense, it's so healthy for ourselves to be separated from what's even going inside of our body, to objectively look at what we're doing or not doing. It's very, very healthy.
Yeah, and it's plants. It's not vegetables, it's plants. So you want to eat 20 or 30 different kinds of plants every week.
I like that.
So, yeah.
You just gave me a completely new goal. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very cool.
That's great. That's awesome.
It is awesome. Thank you. We met at Stillwater Float Center. You came into float. That was your first float, right?
It was my first float.
And then you bought a pack after that.
I did.
How did you feel about floating? How was your experience?
My experience was really interesting, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. I had the sensation of spinning head over heels part of the time, which was really interesting. So it was almost like spinning through the universe. It was a cool experience, except it made me motion sick. So when I got home, I was like, whoa, I feel really weird. And then it dawned on me, oh, well, because I get motion sick, like on the ocean, I can't do the ocean. I realized my physical body did not think that was fun. I thought it was cool, but my physical body was not impressed. I felt it was very peaceful. I'm looking forward to doing it again to see how much more I can shut down my mind. But I did get in that meditative space fairly easily, which was cool. And then like my pinky would touch the side and I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah. Like re-register input in some way. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. But I did get what I wanted, which was that isolation from my physical self.
It's fairly common for people to either feel like they're spinning around in the tank or spinning or rotating forward or backwards. And it's interesting when you shut off all stimulus or input into our brain's function because it starts to do things very, very naturally. It's almost working through our own patterns or processes, and we can just become more observant of that. So the aspect of spinning is really, really fascinating. I haven't really looked too much into that or reflected too much about that concept, but trying to regather our proprioception into time and space, it must be going on all the time, continually. Our brain's trying to understand where we even are with gravity and rotation and who knows what. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I felt like that was a reflection of my level of not really stress, but my level of activity. I find a lot of times I'm a human doing instead of human being.
For sure.
And so I felt like that tumbling was that human doing.
Dang.
And I was just trying to slow it down and get back into being a human being.
Holy moly. That's beautiful insight.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I'm pretty sure I shared with you, but the third time's the charm for most people, it seems like.
Yes, that's what you said.
It's like 9 out of 10 people, time and time again. That first time it's such a brand new experience. We don't fully understand what to expect. The second time we've done it before, we have some frame of reference. That third time's the charm. It's really cool to hear. And even to hear people have really good first float experiences, it shows that people might be deeper than we think they are. When more often than not, people have a really good time with themselves in solitude in that sense. And we have a lot of different options on helping people feel comfortable if they're claustrophobic or if they don't want to be in silence the entire time. The light can be on, the music can be on. And it's nice to be able to provide people with comfort even during a potentially uncomfortable situation. So thank you for coming in and experiencing that.
Yeah. Well, and I also think about solitude that I know I gravitated toward it because I do seek solitude. So I think that it's another way to isolate and just be with myself.
And you do feel very grounded and present. And I believe that that's coming from a core being inside of you, something that goes with us wherever we are, wherever we go. And it's built from what we do or don't do. So having you even being able to gravitate towards being in stillness and solitude in that sense shows a lot about what you do your best to fuel yourself with. And it's so interesting to meet people in the spectrum of consciousness. People who are very anxious, people who are very calm and grounded, and watch them kind of find their own homeostasis and become more aware of where they are on the spectrum. It's nice to provide people with that. And nutrition does that on a level that we may not even fully understand.
I think it does. And it also adds to our gut biome, which our gut biome actually functions in partnership with our brains. So whatever our gut biome is, that makeup is part of what makes us who we are. And that gets altered through the food we eat.
I've heard it described as the second brain.
Yeah.
And there's a book, I believe, that is called The Second Brain. And it's so dense, so intense. I can put a link to it for anybody interested. It's scientific jargon the entire time, but it really helps understand what's happening inside of the gut. It's full of neurons, full of connectivity. It's unbelievable.
It is.
Do you have any advice on strengthening our gut biome or our gut connection?
Yes, yes. So eating raw foods, especially eating local raw foods, um, local foods are washed on the farm, you rinse them in your sink, and you eat them. So you get part of the earth's microbiome when you consume those. Excuse me. And I know that adds to your gut biome. So it's just like little kids eating dirt. It helps make their immune system strong. I know we don't like the way it looks and it's gross, but it really does enhance their immune system. So the little bit of soil that you get on fresh vegetables, if you don't peel them, is actually really good for you. And it helps enhance your gut biome. And also things that are fermented help enhance your gut biome. And if you don't want to make sauerkraut, you don't have to. You can buy raw sauerkraut that's in a refrigerator from Whole Foods or wherever. Just make sure it's raw and that it's organic, and you get those extra beings, you get to eat them.
How do you make sauerkraut?
It's not very hard. It just takes salt and water and cabbage and thyme. And time, I mean by time on the clock. You cram cabbage in a jar, put a lot of salt in between the layers when you put the cabbage in.
Okay.
And then you lid it and it will sweat. The water will come off the cabbage and it will ferment in the jar.
Whoa.
And you leave it out at room temperature. You don't put it in the fridge. And if it worked because it smells like something you want to eat when you open the lid. And, you can tell by the taste if it's good or not. But it's not hard to make. And there's a million recipes online. And you can do it. You can grate beet into it if you like it to be pink. Or you can put onion and other things in it, shredded carrots. It's just it's good for your system. And, kombucha is the same thing. So another fermented food.
I spent some time in South Korea and ate a lot of kimchi.
Kimchi
For real. Yeah, it's an acquired taste, but I love it.
It is. Yeah. And some of that's been buried in the ground for how many years? 50 years buried in a clay pot in the ground. Yeah, I have also been to South Korea. I did not eat a lot of kimchi because I can't tolerate the heat.
Yeah, my mouth was kind of messed up afterwards.
Yeah, it's really hot.
Yeah.
Really hot. And really good for you. So that's another thing we didn't talk about is monk food. So monk food is all the vegetables except for onions and garlic. It's the allium family. So you leave that out. And all the other vegetables, when you cook them together, that's considered monk food, which is very calming. But it can be hot. You can put in kimchi or hot peppers or something like that, which we think of as stimulating. But without the allium family, that's monk food. It's supposed to be calming and centering. You should try it. I think that's a cool experiment to Sunday's my day to experiment with food. So just do a whole Sunday of just monk food.
That's really beautiful. I've never heard about that being a type of eating.
It's not. It's just the way monks eat.
That's fair.
I guess I could make it up, couldn't I?
Yeah, I don't know. I like that. I mean, it puts a good frame on it. And I did a 10-day Vipassana course while in Korea. So it's a vegetarian diet. And have you done a course like that or anything?
No.
But you describing it as monk food it related very well to that experience. It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Because there's no caffeine, there's no sugar. It's all vegetarian. So having that very grounded essence to what you're consuming when it's a silent retreat, you're not speaking. There's no eye contact. You're really in solitude in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And I think I'll try that.
That's really interesting.
Monk diet.
Yeah, the monk diet. It's a new thing. We're going to start it, right?
I love that.
But it is, and there are foods that are more grounding. So if you eat sweet potatoes and beets, the root vegetables that come from the earth, they are more grounding. And we didn't talk about eating seasonally either, which is You know, in the winter, we eat more squash and we eat more beets and we eat more sweet potatoes, more things that are heavier to sustain us through the winter. And then in the spring, it's all about the greens and about cleansing and about all the fresh stuff and eating it raw. And then in the summer, we get, you know, the big bounty. And then fall, it's corn and potatoes and other things, tomatoes and peppers. And
I've recently found myself eating more potatoes as well, and it's kind of transitioning into winter, which is fascinating.
And I used to not eat potatoes because when you learn about nutrition, you find out they're starch, and that's not really that good for you. And if you're going to choose what to eat, I always tell people eat what you like. And I'm not a huge potato fan, so I sort of push them to the side. But I'm eating more of them now just because I feel like the local potatoes are really good and really good for me. And you should eat the rainbow, including the white food.
How do you feel about coffee?
I drink coffee. I drink a cup of coffee every morning. And I have really low blood pressure. So I always say I'm just one step shy of a coma because I'm a fairly high energy person, but I wouldn't be if my body had its own way. I would just be one of those people that sits around and contemplates the universe. But I don't have time.
That's way to find a balance there and
so
operate.
I use coffee as a stimulant. So I have a cup in the morning to get me rolling. If I have a super long day, I'm usually I'm up at 5. So my day is over at 4, basically. By 7, I'm worthless. So if I have to stay awake and think, then I'll have another cup of coffee about 4 o'clock, and then I can make it till 11 if I have to.
Way to know your body in that sense.
Yeah, so I use it as a stimulant. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think you should drink it all day long.
For sure. What about it being not grounding in that aspect of energy?
It's not grounding.
It's definitely not.
It's a very flighty thing.
I like that you described food with the roots being more grounded, coffee not being grounded. And I think when we understand those principles and we start to become very aware of how we are influenced by what we eat, we can really see the natural responses from different foods, whether it's rice or coffee or sugar even, or caffeinated drinks with sugar. It's just like you're shooting through the roof at that point.
Yeah.
I've completely cut back on, I used to drink those yerba mate teas and drink probably one a day maybe.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I was experiencing so much anxiety.
Yeah.
I had to completely pull back and reroute.
People really need to realize if they're experiencing anxiety, that they need to look at their diet and what they're putting in their body. Because anything that's processed sugar or caffeinated or chemicaled, like the Red Bull, the energy drinks.
It's been years since I've had one of those.
They cause anxiety. And I think people just need to look at that. I mean, if you're experiencing anxiety, take the sugar, the caffeine, and the chemicals out of your life and then see how you feel. Take it out for a month and then see how you feel. Don't take a drug on top of all that other crap. Sorry, I'm just step off of my soapbox.
No, it's so accurate.
Because what you've got in your system, if you're doing caffeinated stuff, energy drinks, whatever, and you're eating sugar, and then you're taking something for your anxiety, that's a lot of extra stuff in there. You could just cut all that out and see how you are. And there are people who really do need to take anxiety medication. Absolutely. Because they just are anxious people naturally. But I really think that if you remove those things and you eat grounding foods and you really give it a chance, really give it a chance, wait 30 days, see how you feel.
How do you feel about constipation also being a potentially emotional thing as well?
It can be linked to anxiety. Yeah, it can be linked to anxiety and stress and feelings of not being able to relax. So, yoga. You can do yoga from your computer now. You don't have to go to a class. You can get a basic yoga class for free online. Anything that helps you feel centered and helps you not think is going to help your digestion. Taking a walk will help constipation. I mean, and taking a walk also lowers your anxiety and lowers your stress. Exercise is huge. But, you got to move. You can't just sit in a desk all day. You got to move. Once a day, at least. You got to move. Get out and take a brisk walk.
So one thing that I specialize in is joint mobility and really fusing your nervous system with your muscle tissue and understanding that the brain is hardwired through the body is hardwired through the brain. And floating is enormous for that kind of connection. And understanding that our ranges of motion are being destroyed by sitting all day long is not an unrealistic response. It's very natural that we are now adapting and morphing into being in a certain position and state of being and body position that we no longer have range of motion. What does range of motion do for our tendons, for our synovial fluid to go through our actual joint? It allows the actual natural flow and circulation of our body to not get blocked up in any position. And there's a really good Bruce Lee quote that's running water never grows stale. And you think about a pond that there's no running or moving water to it. There's a lot of unfortunate, unhealthy bacteria inside of that water. Think about a very clean river that's continually flowing. It's a really beautiful philosophy, I think, to incorporate into our daily behavior.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I am a desk person. I spend more time behind a desk than I'd like to, but I also get to move at the market every Saturday. I go and help with setup and I'm walking around the whole day, and it's super important to move. It really is.
I think we get caught in, if you don't do it every day, it's not worth doing.
It's worth doing anytime you can do it.
Right?
Anytime.
2-3 times a week, 4 times a week, once a week. I took a long break from exercise the past few years. I've gone very deep internally with meditation, and I'm starting to really incorporate the exercise and the physical movement back into my own practice. I'm doing it 1 to 3 times a week right now. And the amount of change I'm experiencing in my body's strength and position and mobility is astronomical.
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
And you can really help bring that healthy homeostasis and eustress, that healthy stress back into your body, back into our lives, and really learn how to navigate through stressful scenarios as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's substantial benefits to going on a walk or going to the gym twice a week. It's beautiful when you really get into the bigger picture of what health is with nutrition or floating and meditation and solitude and even our environments, who we're around. Like, this is very, very healthy. This is a very nutrient dense discussion.
Yes.
That helps us both. And to be able to feel metaphysically or physically when we're digesting healthy nutrients and learning who to be around, what to eat, it's kind of cool what you can build in your own experience.
It is. And that's, it's part of creating your life. How do you want your life to be? Those are some of the elements of creating your life. What you put in your body, how much you move, who you associate with, what your space looks like, what you put on your body. That's all, we get to create our life.
100%. And thinking of them as elements is very beautiful and poetic and very, very earthy, very, very grounded. I like that. I've even gone to the extent of doing my best to only wear cotton and nothing with a plastic in it. And because whether or not we know it, we're absorbing that plastic into our skin when we sweat. It doesn't break down in the environment very well. So even managing and delegating what you put on your body is enormous as well.
Yeah, it is. And, if the best you can do is just get up and get dressed in the morning and go to work and take a walk once a week and try and eat healthy 4 days a week, that's awesome. And then when you're ready to take that next step, take the one that seems like it'll make the most difference.
100%.
So like right now, I'm trying to cut plastic out of my life. And trying is the operative word.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, that comes in plastic. And plastic is so everywhere. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I not buy the things I like that come in plastic? How do I get those things without the bad part, without the plastic? And it's a struggle. It honestly is.
It is a struggle. And we are on the same part of the path right now. I'm in that same process.
It's hard.
It is. It's very unfortunate how difficult it is. And so we're about to launch another product, and I've looked so deep into the shipping mechanisms and getting 100% recycled materials or plant-based materials that will decompose into the planet that we live in much more efficiently. Mm-hmm. And to go so deep into that world where I'm actually looking at what ink is on the box itself, is that biodegradable or not, it showed me that we don't have many options to make better decisions.
We don't.
And how do we begin to open up our options, provide people with better resources to, whether it's refine who we are as people? It's really nice to hear another person on that process as well.
Well, and for me, managing the farmers market, there has got to be a way to not have any plastic at the farmers market. And one of the things that I really dislike, that we're going to solve at some point, is all of the waste we produce because we sell food on site that people can consume. So even if it's a paper or whatever with the plastic fork, that still gets thrown away almost immediately. Like people eat and then that goes in the trash. So I've looked at the zero waste options, and there are no good ones, because the plates that you purchase that are compostable still have chemicals, petrochemicals in them. They have glue. They have different things that hold them together. So basically, unless we're willing to eat off of a plank that was cut from a tree, there isn't a good disposable option. So what I'm trying to figure out now, and this is a new thing, and I don't know if it's going to happen next summer or not. I'd love to think it is. We're talking about plates and silverware at the market that you can just go get a plate, go get a fork, go get your food, eat, put it in the wash bin. We'll wash it in a 60-second dishwasher. It'll be ready for next week. Because none of the zero waste options are good, I don't think.
Thank you, and good for you for trying to figure that out.
It's something to figure out. I mean, I think we need to figure it out. We do events all the time. There's tons of events in Boise. We're wasting a ton of paper and a ton of plastic, napkins, all that stuff. We need to figure out how to not do that.
How much do you know about Boise's or Idaho's recycling system?
I haven't really gotten into it because I keep hearing things like, oh, well, if you recycle your glass, it ends up in this big pile in a field. And I haven't. But I think the goal is recycle what you have to, but then find a way to reuse everything else.
That's huge advice and perspective. And that's pretty doable, to reuse as much as possible. Whether it's a paper towel, just get an actual towel.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's ways
just
to.
Don't have paper towel. Just figure it out. Yeah. And there's, it's not always going to be perfect. I mean, maybe it will be perfect someday, but right now it's not perfect. But any effort you make toward reusing rather than recycling or throwing things away it's good effort. It's time well spent.
And for me, I feel much better about the choices I make when I know they have a better outcome.
Yeah.
Because there's something internal that I just don't feel good when I'm like forced into doing something that I know is going to be harmful. Even if it's the only option, there's just something inside of me that I wouldn't say triggers, but it just becomes present because I want to be the best I can. I want to be doing the best I possibly can be doing, not just for my own self, but for the community of Boise or the planet. And nature means so much to me as an individual, and it's helped me heal in so many deep ways. I've watched it help heal other people and to help preserve this beautiful formula of existence. I mean, I don't know if there's a better path to be walking.
Yeah, I don't know if there is either. And, you know, I still want my organic rotisserie chicken from Whole Foods. Can I just bring my own container? Don't put it in the plastic. Just tell me what time they come off the thing, the spit, and I'll be there with my glass container.
Unfortunately, there aren't many people like that.
But Whole Foods doesn't want you to do that either. It's a hassle for them.
Yeah.
They're like, what? We got a line of these crazy people with glass containers picking up their chickens? What the heck?
That is funny. That is a funny sight.
You know, like, they're like, yeah, you can put it in your glass container, and they want to take it out of the plastic one. I'm like, no, don't put it in the plastic one. Don't put it in there to start with.
Yeah, I mean, even going to the beginning stretch of using reusable bags when you go into shop.
Yeah.
Just starting to really become aware of the amount of plastic that we are bringing around with us.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah, and there's, you know, the veggie bags are the other issue.
I bought Brussels sprouts last night that were the only option to purchase them was in a plastic bag.
In a plastic bag, yeah. Yeah, that's a bummer. So there is a grocery store now in Garden City where it's a bulk grocery store. I haven't been yet. I feel really bad that I haven't been yet, but I hear they're open now. I can't remember what it's called.
I think I had to go there for something. Yes.
Opened.
That's interesting. I don't really remember the name either.
Do you mind if I look it up?
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
Turn this on and look
Yeah, totally.
Because I want to be able to say what it is.
I will pause this. What's it called?
It's Roots Zero Waste Market. And I haven't been yet, but I will be there soon. I mean, I would love to go and see what all they have that I could replace plastic with.
That's pretty
Just
cool.
bring in my jars. I mean, you literally can bring your jars, like your jars, your containers.
Maybe I haven't been there.
It's new.
Yeah, I don't think I've been then. That's really cool to hear. It's nice that these places and companies are able to provide people with that option now.
Yes.
There's way more eco-conscious people running businesses.
It's happening.
It's happening.
It is happening.
Very rapidly.
And I think as consumers, we're demanding it, and that's why it's happening.
Totally.
So that's at 3308 West Chinden Boulevard.
Look at that, Roots.
In Garden City. Yeah.
That's
Roots.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for that info. That actually does help a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great resource. We have so few. We don't have so few resources, but we don't have as many resources as we do non-resources.
Totally.
So,
if people were looking to go to the farmers market, what is the time period where it's outdoors, indoors? How and why are each one so important?
So summer market is April through October, every Saturday from 9 to 1 at 1500 Shoreline Drive. The winter market, we actually move indoors in that same building in the back at 1500 Shoreline Drive.
Oh, the same building. That's cool.
So that building's 90,000 square feet. It's way too big for us. So we're just in this tiny little corner in the back. And we're super excited to be there for the first time this year.
That's super exciting.
In the same place, summer and winter. So the winter market is 8 weeks. It's a little more focused. It's a little bit of more of a holiday focused market, but you'll still be able to get fresh vegetables and fall vegetables. Literally last year, right up through the middle of December, we still had salad mix and arugula available. And then, of course, there's all the other winter, fall vegetables, all the squashes, potatoes, dried beans, all those kinds of things. Cabbage, beets, carrots.
Do they sell pumpkins there also?
Yeah. Yeah. Pumpkins for pies. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
That's
Or
awesome.
or cooking pumpkins. Pumpkins
okay.
you cook.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Stewing pumpkins, big squashes.
Huh.
Yeah. It's
Idaho's cool.
It is. It's, the cool thing about Boise is it's big enough that it's urban, but it's small enough that you can still have a real effect if you want to.
100%.
Yeah.
It is really beautiful. You put that so well, to watch one organization like the Boise Farmers Market really move and blend through our entire area.
Yeah.
And it gives me a lot of hope for the future, a lot of hope for the people that want to start something that's similar or that relates to what you're doing and build this beautiful ecosystem that covers a lot of different ground and different components.
Yeah. It's good. And I feel really lucky and blessed and every day to get to run the farmers market because I know the farmers and I can make connections for them with restaurants or with people. Somebody calls me up and says, hey, I need pickling cucumbers because I want to make a gazillion pickles for winter. And I know who has them and I can hook those two people up and make it happen.
Wow. What a beautiful place for you to be.
It's very cool.
It's very important to have somebody that people can reach out to that has the resources you do.
Yeah.
What kind of people do you help in terms of those examples that you just said?
So in addition to the regular farmers market, we have a mobile market unit. So it's the Boise Farmers Mobile Market. And it's literally a senior van that the seats have been stripped out of. And we've put shelves in there. And between Memorial Day and Labor Day, we sell vegetables in 16 different locations in Boise every week. So it stops in one place for an hour, goes somewhere else and stops for an hour, goes somewhere else and stops for an hour. 4 stops a day, 4 days a week. So that really is an opportunity to reach people who can't come to the farmers market, either seniors or folks with disabilities. It gives us a chance to reach our folks in our community who don't have the resources to come to the farmers market. So we take EBT and SNAP, and we have a SNAP match that matches up $20. So to me, that's really the super important work, to reach people who normally wouldn't have access to fresh local foods, and also to offer them a way to have it not be such a huge expense that they can't afford it.
Wow. Way to find the solution to that problem.
It's not a total solution, but it's a resource. And it wasn't my idea. I just executed it.
I mean, we all play a part.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a cool program. And I didn't run it this year because I can't do everything. But it's a great program. And I missed it a little bit this summer, not being a part of it. I missed it a little bit. But it's cool to know that, and the seniors are so excited. And, we pull up to a center where they all live, and there are tables set up outside, and we put out the food because they can't really get in the van because it's a big step up, and the we used to have a handicap lift. They hated it because they felt like they were on display. So we're like, forget it. We'll just bring it out to you. So we put the vegetables out, and they come out and they're hanging out and they talk to each other. And, they might not, they're one person living in one house or 2 people living in one unit. And so they don't buy a lot. They might buy a peach and a cucumber and, ask their buddy if they want to share a watermelon, like one of those little tiny watermelons. But they get to talk to each other, and they talk about the gardens they had when they were little that their moms did. And they talk about their favorite tomatoes that they used to grow. And it's an opportunity for them to have community around food, which I think food is always a vehicle for community to form. but it provides emotional food along with physical food at those stops for those people, which is really cool.
That is incredibly beautiful. And that, I mean, shows what we're able to do in a small area like Boise.
Exactly.
We have so many different ways to benefit people just because of the size of our area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we're also in the parks alongside the summer picnic in the park program, which is the free lunch program for kids in the summer. So we're alongside them so that their parents can come and shop and so that they can learn about the food. And it's really fun to have things low on the shelves that kids like or that they might like, or also to have things low on the shelves that you know they're not going to know what they are. Because it's a real opportunity to educate. It's fun.
This is, I don't know, this is really enjoyable to hear. It's really beautiful to hear somebody talk about the subtleties in what they do and things that not everybody may recognize or realize, but you're aware of, and you get to watch these seeds be planted and blossom in front of you.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Thanks. It's I feel really lucky to get to do it.
Thank you for doing it.
You're welcome.
I mean, it benefits so much, even the things that we don't see.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a lot going on behind the scenes in any situation that's super healthy. There's somebody thinking about it, thinking about all the details.
How is the website in terms of the information on this kind of stuff?
We have very little on the Boise Farmers Market. I mean, we have a page about the mobile market and a page about the Sprouts Kids Club, and but there's nothing like there's not a nutrition page.
Mm.
There's not. That stuff happens subtly, and I don't think it needs to be blatant. I think if the result of you buying carrots at the farmer's market is you're healthier, I'm good with that, even if you don't know it.
That's beautiful. How would you like people to contact you that are listening to this for any reason?
They can contact me for any reason. I mean, sure. You can so if you want to know who's at the farmer's market or what's at the farmer's market, you can subscribe to our newsletter. And every week there's literally a list of the produce that's available. So you don't have to know about seasonal eating. You can just look at that list and go, oh, these are the things I'm going to eat this week.
That is awesome. How, so is it a weekly newsletter then?
Comes out every Friday.
That's got to be so helpful for people to plan and prep and just kind of get that bigger scope of awareness on how the full system operates.
It's a good tool if you want to be a seasonal eater, to not have to, and you want to plan. Like if you're one of those people who makes your lunches on Sunday and has them in the fridge to just grab to go to work, you can look at that list and say, okay, I'm going to make this, this, and this, and I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to get those ingredients at the market.
That's so excellent. Yeah. I'm actually not subscribed. I didn't even know that.
Oh, well, if you go to theboisefarmersmarket.com and you just wiggle your mouse around or touch your little pad on the center of your computer, a little window will pop up and you can subscribe.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I will definitely put that in the intro as well.
Oh, cool.
That's super interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Wow. Thank you so much for being here.
So, Zarin, this has been a really great opportunity to talk at a depth about the farmers market that I don't usually get the opportunity to talk about. So thank you.
Tamara,
thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. This is a big benefit and purpose of our platform, is to provide people with an opportunity to really go deep into the soil, into how things are produced from their behavior and what they look like on the inside. And to hear that response, that means a lot. It's very cool. It's very beautiful to provide a space for people to open up and really share what they're working on and watch the light inside of them, blossom in this room. It's very, very beautiful.
It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Of course. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Let's
do it again.
Yes, of course.